All right. I'll start with injuries first. We have Jay, who has an illness. And most of these guys, man, there's a number of evaluations still going on. And you guys get the report by the end of the day anyway. So Sauce had a groin. All right. I think he'll be okay. Josh has a hamstring. All right. So we'll continue to evaluate that, and we'll know at the end of the day. All right. But other than that, I think we're pretty clean for the most part. Kane is another one, all right, and he's you will get that at the end of the day also. But other than that, man, this is a game that the players are really excited, looking forward to it. Same with the coaches. Really good opponent, really good coaching staff. I respect how they go about business. A number of these coaches I've been knowing for a while. Brady, I coached with him in New Orleans, so I know exactly how he operates as far as his work ethic and things like that. And Bobby Babbage, the coordinator, I worked with him in Cleveland, so I know exactly how he operates. So this is going to be a challenge for us. We all know that. Really good team, good personnel, damn good quarterback. But our guys are excited, for this challenge, again, along with the coaches, too. So Sunday will be a good one. It'll be a good one. So any questions?
Sauce was out yesterday in practice.
Say it again.
Sauce's injury, that was yesterday in practice?
Yes, that was yesterday in practice.
Is he in practice today?
Say it again.
Is he in practice
today? He's going to be out there on a limited basis.
This is kind of a big question, but Josh Allen, what are the biggest challenges that he presents?
I mean, obviously he was the MVP, so there's a number of things that he does well. He's big, he's physical. The one thing that really stands out about him, he's highly, highly competitive. And he is one of those guys that can will his team to victory. So that's one thing that we have to do a really good job. Our will has to be stronger than his will. And that's a challenge in itself because of who he is. So this is going to be a game of who's going to outwill each other. And these games between these two teams have always been pretty tight. So for the most part, he brings a lot to the table. And, I mean, there's so many things I can say about him in a positive manner that I'll sit here and bore you guys with that. So I would just sit there and tell you that we know we have a challenge ahead of us, and we have to do a good job with him.
Do you view division games differently? Like there's been coaches, Rex Ryan, to say they count as double most of the standings, or do you take it as...
You know what? Just by understanding that, the quickest way to get to the playoffs is winning your division. All right, I see it from that aspect. But to me, I look at each game in itself and say, listen, I come to win every game. It doesn't matter. They all mean the same to me, to be honest with you. But I get the mentality of that because it is. It's the quickest way to get to the playoffs is you win your division. But, man, I want to win every game. And it doesn't matter who's across there from me. It doesn't matter at all. We want to go out there and we want to execute and we want to show our brand of football no matter who we play against.
Can you speak about the operation and how you guys handled situations last week? Not just overall, because one of the things he said last Friday was you keep on going over situations, how you're going to handle those things actually on Sunday.
Well, what do you mean as far as I'm trying to...
As far as like the communication amongst the staff and how you got everything in.
I got you. Yeah. Here's, and I've said this last week, I think the last 4 minutes of each half or each game really belongs to the head coach because you determine which way the ball moves for the most part. And, man, I have a lot of communication with offensively, if we're in a 2-minute situation, I have a ton of communication with Tanner. I have a ton of communication with Berger, who's our game management guy. I have a ton of communication with Scott Turner, who does a really good job of helping us in that aspect. And ultimately, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to make a call, which I think is best for us, to move forward. But I really rely on those guys a lot, and it is a team effort. When it comes to that. But that team effort, that communication has to be fast. And it's the same way on the defensive side of the ball, too, all right, with Wilkes and with Berger also. So there's a ton of communication that goes on, but that communication has to be really precise and concise, to be able to make a decision on what you want to do with in those situations.
You mentioned on Monday that Alan Lazard had some time to make up after missing some time in training camp. You think a week later he's kind of caught up into that?
He's I can't say he's totally caught up, but he's at a pace where he can go out there and play. So again, we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. He does a really good job of being in the meetings and being on the field and trying to really understand. He's a really, really smart player, too. He's been in the league for a long time. So there aren't a lot of concepts that he doesn't know. And he's quick to pick those things up and be able to apply them on the field. So I have a lot of trust in that player. And we'll see how this thing shakes out at the end.
With Mason Taylor, where is he at with his ankle, and how challenging is it for a rookie player to not get all the practice reps?
Well, we know in this league that no one's 100%, and that's just how it is. Even at this time, even though it's this early, because you go through training camp. Listen, every player fights it, and we'll see exactly where he's at, by game time. But again, he'll be on a limited basis. But he's tough. He's competitive. So I put nothing past that player.
What about the practice for rookies probably need the reps as much as anybody as they're learning the whys and wherefores in the NFL.
Yeah.
How challenging is it for a young guy not to practice?
Yeah, it's always challenging, but the thing that we harp on quite a bit is making sure you get those mental reps. And when you have players like we have in our program, smart, tough, competitive, they can sit there and they can really look at what's going on in practice and be able to apply that, if they haven't got the reps. But the thing is, you do want to make sure you get those. There's nothing like live reps, right? So you do want to make sure you get those reps. But if you're specifically talking about Mason, listen, this player's been around football for a long time, so I trust that he can actually see it and be able to apply it if he doesn't get all the reps.
How has it gone figuring out the returner situation? Obviously, you have some new people.
Yep.
Today is injured.
Yeah.
How has that gone this week? And what's that process like in a game week?
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing a lot of kickoffs out there, so what's that like?
It's been going really well for us, and we'll have a returner out there. I do know that. I do know that. And listen, there's a lot of information that we take in, when we start to look at that from a practice perspective. I think Banjo and Coach O'Day does a really good job of scripting practice the way that they want it, so we can make sure we take a look at as many people as we can. And listen, it's exciting to those guys, because they have a shot. And I keep saying this, and our program is built on, you earn your keep. So the guys that gives us the best chance to be successful in those situations, they'll be out there.
We talked a little bit about him after the game, but Membu,
Yeah.
what did he do so well in his debut? I mean, obviously you guys took him where you did,
Yeah.
expecting he would perform well, but
Well, I think when you look at the game, I think it speaks for itself. He was going against a player that we all know that's one of the top players in this league. Man, he can arguably be defensive MVP, every year when you really look at it. And for him to hold his ground, for him to have the one-on-one situations, for him to be as an aggressive, as physical with that player really speaks for itself. But we know this is a week-to-week league, and the best players in this league are consistent, so we expect him to be like that way. And it's going to be up and down. He'll have a hard, challenge against somebody. You guys are going to smash him. That's just how you guys are. So, but that's okay. That's okay. The thing is, we have a lot of trust in that player, and no matter what, he's going to continue to improve every year, every game.
You talked about the familiarity before with Brady.
Yeah.
What are they doing schematically as far as changing things up in the personnel packages that they try to use to put pressure on the defense?
I think the one thing that shows up with Brady previously on how they used to operate is he really trusts in those guys running the ball, and those can be runs with the running back or the quarterback. So he's brought that brand of football within their program. I think he allows Josh to be Josh too. Even though that they have their concepts, man, he does a really good job of playing street ball and being able to find his guys, and more importantly, his guys understand him. And when you have that type of connection with the quarterback and your receivers, with that type of talent they have, man, it's good things are bound to happen for the most part. And over the last couple of years, those things have been pretty good for him. He's not turning the ball over. Man, he's finding guys, and when it's time for him to tuck it and run it, I mean, obviously he's a 245-pound man, so it's a hard tackle. So they do a good job in that aspect, and we have a challenge ahead of us, and we know that.
Thank you, everyone.